Y is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
But I do feel better. So
Good.
this has been it's real humdinger. Every 24 hours it changed what it was into the next thing.
Oh, well, that's exciting.
Yeah, so it was like 24 hours, sinuses just throbbing and pounding headache.
Sweet.
24 hours later, achy, exhausted. 24 hours later, 102 fever. Just really just let's keep it guessing.
I think that's fun. I mean, not fun, but at least
Right.
it's better than having this. I mean,
This
not
is true.
better, but I feel
You
like,
don't have time to get tired of it.
right. Like, at least you're like, oh, my head's not throbbing anymore. Like, I'm still going to die, but a different way now. So I
This is
get to
true. Yeah.
experience this form of death.
This fresh hell. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So how
Which
was
is
your
kind
week?
of what COVID was like when I had it, the one and only time.
Right. Brag.
I know.
How was your week with
Oh, it's terrible.
me being silent?
It was terrible. I missed you.
It was weird. The whole thing felt very strange
I know.
because I'm like, we should be talking about something stupid
I know.
because,
But you didn't say you missed me, I noticed.
well, no, I did. I missed.
It's okay.
Jesus. Can't
No.
we phrase things differently?
Yes, we can. But I did miss you. But I also, I don't know if this will make you feel better or worse. It was also a hellacious week. Like, it was terrible. I had no break.
Right.
Shocker.
Right.
I went to doctor's appointments, which were scheduled. I mean, it was like, let's go. I think you knew they were scheduled. I was like, let's get all my doctor's appointments done, which were all
Right.
scheduled for early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yet seemed to take extraordinary long parts of the day.
So one thing quickly, and then I want to hear all about, I almost said Flash's birthday. When does that tell you? About Captain's birthday. But I watched this movie, Duke of Burgundy, this week. Have you seen it? Have you heard of it? So it is written and directed by the guy who made Barbarian Sound Studio.
Okay.
Which is was a weird horror film about a sound guy filming a horror film in Eastern Europe and all this weird, it's really uniquely made. And this film, it's about two women and their relationship. And I'm not giving anything away, but the first 15 minutes, one of them shows up late. She's the housekeeper and she scrubs the floor and she's like, well, you did it wrong. You missed this. Now go wash my clothes, all this stuff. And then after about 15 minutes, the whole thing resets and you realize that this is the way they interact with each other.
Okay.
And so you see the whole scene from the point of view of the woman playing the sort of severe, mistress of the house.
Yes.
And so they keep going back and forth. And while they're in bed, they're talking about the relationship and I want you to be harder on me next time and all this stuff. And here's the thing that occurred to me watching the film. And maybe I'm missing the point, and I don't know why we haven't brought this up with some of our BDSM guests when we've had them on. At what point in a BDSM, I guess, relationship, does it go from being this fetish thing that you do together and you have, it's everyone's a part of it and everyone's happy with it. At what point, what's the tipping point between that relationship and that kink and just being a bad housekeeper?
True.
Yeah, because it's like you missed a spot. Are you saying that because I want to punish you, or you're saying you missed a spot because seriously, you missed a spot? Come on, if you're going to do this, let's do it right.
Well, right. And to that point, and maybe we did ask some of them at this point, at what point does it just become part of the routine?
Right.
Cleaning, sex, or otherwise.
Right. Like, oh, I got to get the car detailed. Well, actually.
Right. Right. And then when do you up your, how do you up your
Right. My sub's going to be here, so it's perfect. I'll have them do that.
Right.
It just seems like that might be the way it might be worth getting into simply for the side benefits of well, the bathroom got cleaned, so that's nice.
Right.
This is Why, with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
And not everyone else in the world needs to know that that's the relationship.
Right, but like we need to go back and look up our like Pornhub, like who's searched for whatever. Like there's got to be someone out there who's searched for like press conference porn.
Right.
Like I would love someone to just please go handle that.
Right.
Well, I hang out here.
Exactly. Just eating bonbons and
Yes.
watching VH1. I get it.
Oh, I would love to watch VH1. I miss VH1.
Oh, yeah, I used to love it before they had or you could very easily do the guides on TV when just suddenly one pop-up video would end and the next one would start and you'd be like, oh my God, I found what I'm doing for the next half hour. Greatest thing ever.
Oh, I loved pop-up video, even though I already knew all the stuff.
Yeah. But let's get to what we came here for. How was Captain's party? When were the police called?
Which police?
Yeah, exactly.
No, Captain's party was fantastic.
Okay.
He was very pleased. He knew it was his birthday from the moment he woke up. He got to go on a 3-mile walk.
Oh, okay. With Bob Seger, without?
Without. He did not walk with Bob Seger, just with me and Mare. But Dave was very concerned when he asked what we were doing with him in the morning, and we said we were taking him under the bridge, and he was very confused because he forgot, because I don't know how he forgot that the trail goes under the road here, under the bridge.
So he thought you were taking him for, the other reason in the song.
Right. I don't even know what he thought. So, but we took him there. That was very good. He has just had a bunch of teeth pulled, so he had to have all of his food and treats softened, which was tragic. We made a cake, not for him, but we made Mary and I made a cake with a Nutella whipped frosting from scratch. We had to buy cake pans, but we made this from scratch and it was amazing.
Okay.
So much that people took it home.
Well, there you go.
We had a Let's Potty banner. Yeah, it was a really wild time. We played all sorts of board games. Mary and I played all kinds of board games for 24 hours straight. And then the rest of the family came over to hang out.
Right.
And we got ready we played Uno Attack, all the usuals. We were all ready to play Yahtzee. Mare's 8. So we're like, let's play Yahtzee, which we'd been playing for days. And everyone else was like, yeah, this is what we play. We just play the first ones where it's like 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. And Mare goes, what? Because we'd been playing Yahtzee for 2 days the way you actually play Yahtzee. Like we had flushes and straights. And so we had to teach the whole family how you really play Yahtzee.
How you actually play, yeah.
So that was cool. And that was about it.
What is your journey to the rollerball rink? Is it a rink? What do they call?
So it's roller derby.
Yes.
There is no ball. That is a question that we get sometimes. It's
not rollerball.
And this that there was a movie. Actually, I think there were 2 movies.
There were 2 movies.
One
was good.
One we don't talk about. We just we'll skip over it. My journey, I was living in Austin, which was the area of the resurgence of roller derby in the early 2000s. I was living there in about 2009, 2010, and I saw a match, a bank track match that was very old school style. We can talk about that later if y'all would like, but there were costumes and there were pillow fights and there were really crazy, it was very professional wrestling style, where it was clear there were athletes out there doing athletic things, but it was also very much a lot of showmanship and a lot of performing. And I thought it looked fun as hell. And at the time I was in grad school and I was working 2 jobs and I really couldn't afford I just didn't have the time to do anything like that. But when I moved to Oklahoma and took a job at OU, I wanted to get involved in something that would keep me busy and help me meet people and keep me, athletic. 'Cause I've always been athletic. I've always gone to the gym, played sports. And I joined the league around here. I joined their new recruit program, thinking it would be kind of a similar style. I didn't realize at the time that there were different types of roller derby. I thought this would be, you know, a bank track with crazy costumes and all kinds of fun stuff. And what we do is fun, but what we do is much more athletic. It's a different kind of track. It's a different tone. It's a sport where there are actual rankings and tournaments, and just it's really just a totally different branch, if you will, of the sport.
So it's less scripted showmanship, let's put it that way.
I would say there's very little showmanship at the competitive level. Pretty much no showmanship at the competitive level. We do have home teams. A lot of bigger leagues have home teams that are recreational, and those home teams are often there's more room for showmanship. People will paint their face, or they might dress up, or they might, you know, some leagues will kind of play up the rivalry of the home teams for audience, and it's more fun. But I think there was kind of a movement maybe a decade ago or more to get more serious, to standardize the uniform, to be taken a bit more seriously as a sport. And so that at the competitive level, like it's very much not, the focus is not on showmanship.
So do you not have a really cool nickname?
That's one of those things that has stuck around. The nicknames.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't
I
lose the
know,
nickname.
but
You've got to
it's-
keep.
Yeah,
like,
that's
come
one of
on.
those things we have not, we're clinging to with our lives is
The
almost
nostalgia.
everybody has a nickname. Yeah.
Right?
So we do have nicknames, and sometimes people will choose a number that corresponds with their nickname, or have something a little extra on their uniform that goes with their nickname. But that's really the main element that I think has stuck around since the showmanship days.
Have you found that so what's the fan base like? Is the fan base pretty strong? Is it families? Is it more adult fans? What's the fan base like?
I think that a lot of so let me start over. Our league focuses on a family-friendly atmosphere. So we, you know, have kids 12 and under that get in free. We have kind of strict no cussing. We recently started serving alcohol, but even that is like pretty limited. So we try and foster like a family-friendly environment, but not all leagues go that way. Some leagues kind of take the more punk rock, like trying to get, you know, a different kind of crowd in the door, which is just as relevant. It works just as well. It just kind of depends on what you're going for. But most leagues are not successful trying to get everybody in the door. It's kind of like you got to figure out
Right.
who's your staple crowd. We also recently formed a juniors league a couple of years ago. So we have a lot more kids around than we did before. We have a lot more parents, siblings of those kids that are coming to watch. So yeah, we try to be a family-friendly environment for sure.
But of the sports, I mean, roller derby is sort of known for being, you can get hurt. Let's put it that way.
Yes, you can. We had a skater break her leg just last week.
Okay, there you go.
A week ago, 2 weeks ago. So I mean, it's rough. It's full contact. All that stuff that you see on the track it's not scripted. It's real. They're real hits. There are a lot of limits to how we can hit, but those hits are full-fledged. They're not scripted.
So what's your list of war wounds, as it were?
I feel so far, I'm in my 8th season. I feel so far I've gotten off pretty lucky. All I really had, I had
Just
a
knock
bicep
on
tendon.
everything near you.
I know, right?
Whereas every single item.
Yeah.
Some really great things have happened to athletes after they've been on this show.
This is true.
Really amazing things have happened, like gold medal Olympians for like curling teams,
Super Bowls, Stanley Cups.
Okay.
all sorts. But there may have been one or two that had a couple crazy, not as great things happen. So just to be
But we
safe.
don't focus on those. We focus
do
on
not.
hoisting trophies after you talk to us. 6 to 8 months. It's your
Correct.
window.
That's
just be safe.
Yeah, that's ideal.
Yes.
So last season, at some point I took a hit. I don't actually know when it was, but I tore my bicep tendon, and I didn't know at the time that's what happened. So I ended up playing most of the season with a torn bicep tendon, and only found out when I went in for surgery because they thought it was a bone spur.
Oh God.
Went in for surgery, and they were
That's
like, oh, well, so yeah, it's a torn tendon. We're gonna have to like completely separate it and reattach it. And of course they did that while I was already passed out. So I woke up and they were like, surprise, your healing's gonna take twice as long and it's gonna hurt a lot more. And I was like,
But we fixed it. So
we
Yeah,
fixed
hey,
it,
so
and it's
silver lining.
better now. So
you never even knew you had the problem, and we already fixed it. That's wow.
They
Oh
just
my
hadn't
God.
told me, it would have been better, I think. Just it's gonna take
Mm.
longer. Don't worry about why.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, now were you experienced as a skater? 'Cause I know a
No.
lot of people who go into roller derby
Yeah.
are not skaters
No.
beforehand.
No, that's changing a little bit. As skating kind of goes up and down in popularity. Post-pandemic, skating, just having roller skates and like skating outdoors during the pandemic got really popular.
Mhm.
So our recent recruits, most of them have some skating skills. My recruit class back in 2016 was not like that. Like none of us knew how to skate. We were all starting from the very beginning, just learning how to propel ourselves forward, which in and of itself is difficult because it's not a natural
Right.
movement. But yeah, I had skated on like rollerblades in middle school because when I was in middle school, quads were so uncool. Like only the loser kids had quads,
Oh my
like who
God,
had quads.
totally. Yeah.
So I had never put on a pair of
Whatever.
quad skates ever.
So what is the division of age groups? What's the sort of window you're playing in as far as ages? And actually, is it co-ed? Is it women only? What's the delineation of teams?
Yeah, so we play, our governing organization is Women's Flat Track Roller Derby Association, and it's only women and non-binary athletes. There is a men's league, the Men's Roller Derby Association, or it's called MRDA for short. So there are some, mashup, I don't say ragtag, but just kind of like pickup teams that will play, open gender, that play each other just kind of for funsies. But if you want to play in one of those two organizations, they do have gender policies. And then there's also JURDA, the Juniors Roller Derby Association, which is, I believe, ages 7 through 18. Like if you turn 18, during the season, you can finish out that season. But then after that, you have to move to the adult league.
And so what is the name of the team that you were on? Because you're part of the
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
We are
What's
actually
the-
called Twister City Roller Derby. We recently underwent a rebranding to Twister City Roller Derby, I think last year or the year before. So we are based in Oklahoma City. We are the largest and the highest ranked team in the state, even in some surrounding states. So we have a pretty big league. I think we have something like 50 or so skaters right now. And then we recently opened up our recreational teams to men. So we picked up a few male skaters that way. At the competitive level, we are still following the WIFTA gender policies, the Women's Flat Track, our governing organization's gender policies. But recreationally, you can kind of do whatever you want as long as people are over 18. So we decided to just be like, hey, if you want to come play roller derby, we don't really care. Just come on and play as long as you're over 18 and you can pass a minimum skill set to be safe. Just come play for recreation.
So do you want to take this opportunity to dunk on Tulsa at all? Or should we just keep moving?
No.
Okay, we'll move on.
No, we love Tulsa. We
Okay.
play Tulsa. We've had a good relationship with Tulsa for years. There's a team in Lawton. There's a team in Ada. There's some of the smaller areas around here. A lot of them got hit pretty hard after the pandemic. A lot of leagues did, actually. People, drifted
In
away.
contraction
People,
or okay, they did.
yeah. People drifted away. People moved away. People, got pregnant, started families. And then when everyone kind of slowly came back after, the height of the pandemic, a lot of leagues just kind of folded, or they just kind of became, a shadow of what they were because their numbers went so low. So I think we were very lucky. We were able to not only hold on to a lot of skaters, but we put a lot of effort into rebuilding our league as soon as we were able so that we could recruit more skaters and get our numbers back up. But some leagues just weren't as successful with that.
Why do you think your league was passionate about staying afloat?
We had a few skaters in particular who were just could not, myself included, see the sport die and could not see the league die, and who put a lot of their own uncompensated time and efforts into training new people. We were leading outdoor skates at like $5 a pop once a week up in Oklahoma City, where anybody could come learn to skate for like $5, and it was just money that was going to the league. Like none of the individual skaters were accepting that money or taking that money. And we got a lot of recruits that way. I mean, it was scary there for a while. I think we dipped down to like fewer than maybe 10 or 12 people that were regularly coming anyway. And I was very, very nervous. But yeah, it was really the dedication of just a small handful of people that were determined to not see roller derby die in Oklahoma City.
And it seems like you're really seeing the fruits of those labors now.
Yes.
You said
Yeah.
50 some people. That's
40 or
wonderful.
50 somewhere in there as skaters. Then we have a new recruit class going on that has another at least dozen in it, if not more.
Wow.
So we're doing, I mean, I think post-pandemic, we're doing very well. Not just in terms of like rank and skill, but in terms of numbers and just commitment levels and camaraderie. I think that we're full of people that, respect and genuinely like each other. And that's a big thing in a volunteer sport. Like if you don't enjoy going to practice and being with the people in your league, then you're not going to keep going. You're going to leave. So we put a lot of effort into making our culture what it is. And I think it's starting to pay off.
And it is definitely, if not the one of the sports that hands down everywhere, it just has that, there's just like something about it that people are passionate. And
people will
right?
drive so far for derby and spend so much time in just unpaid, uncompensated, just for the love of the sport and the people. We had a men's league here in Oklahoma City and it folded a few years ago before the pandemic. But we had male skaters who wanted to skate competitively so badly, they were driving to Austin. They were driving to Denver. Denver's like a 10-hour drive, 12-hour drive, because they wanted to play the sport and that was the only place that they could do it. So yeah, it really does seem there's something about this sport, this community that really drives people to get involved, stay involved, and to do what they can to support it.
What do you think it is? That thing? Obviously, there's something undefinable about it.
Yeah. I think part of it is the sport itself and part of it is the community around the sport. The community around the sport is very inclusive, it's very diverse, and it really focuses on being more than just a sport. I think a lot of us care quite a bit about social movements and about just promoting and fighting for equality and just being something more than just a sporting league, which is unusual for a lot of leagues, but for a lot of sports rather. But there's also something about the sport itself, I think, and I put a lot of thought into this, but for me, there's something very empowering about a contact sport that is all about taking space, especially for, I think, women and non-binary folks. The whole idea of roller derby is that you are earning your space and you are keeping everybody else from taking that space unless you want them to. You are trying to stop a jammer, you are trying to move a blocker, you are trying to do something, and it all really revolves around the space on the track that you take up. And I think a lot of us in the league, a lot of women and non-binary people are told to take up less space, to be less, to do less, to let others in, to care more about somebody else than about yourself. And there's something about derby where it's like, yes, I care about other people because they're on my team, but I'm here to take my space and I'm going to fight, I'm going to earn it. And there's something about that mentality that, for me anyway, really draws me to the sport more than it drew me to like basketball or softball, which I played for many, many years. There's just something about it that transfers easily into my everyday life and into my own value system.
And it's interesting. It seems like, from what little research I've done, roller derby in general seems much more, I don't want to say open-minded, accommodating, welcoming, for LGBTQ plus people, that they seem to be one of the first leagues or teams that are sort of said like, yeah, just come on in. We want you here. And it seems like that, unlike other sports, that as difficult as it can be, as hard as it can be on the track, that you said like you said, there's that camaraderie off the track that seems very, very tight bonds that you develop with your teammates.
Yeah. That I think that space for a lot of our members is extremely important. A lot of our members could not play sports in other places for one reason or another, or either wouldn't be welcome, wouldn't feel welcome, wouldn't be allowed, just flat out not allowed to come play. We don't feel that way. We want you there. We want a space for as many people as we can possibly make a space for. And that is really central to who we are. And it's central to the vast majority of Derby itself. Like it really grew from kind of a punk femme, phenomenon into something that's still very counterculture, but is less about like, let's fight the man, and more about like, let's find a way to make a space for everybody and welcome them in as much as we possibly can. And that's that's something that the community itself is pretty united on. We have there's a lot of ways for skaters to join different leagues or join different teams that are focused on kind of who they are identity wise. And what I mean by that is like the last couple of years, we've seen a team emerge for Black skaters called Black Diaspora. We have a team for Jewish skaters, like it's kind of borderless teams, if you will. We had a team this year make their debut as, I believe their name is Trans Rollers United. So it was all trans people. And these are all teams that are skating with each other for fun, but also kind of creating their own subset of the community where they get to be with people who are like themselves and enjoy kind of that presence in that community.
So we've been talking a lot kind of kumbaya sort of thing, but who's your main competitor? And let's just slag them off for a bit.
Ugh, God, I'm just kidding. I think some of our main competitors are the people, or not the people, the leagues that we are ranked very closely with. And it's not that we like don't like them. We are ranked
garbage people. We get
it. They're great. Like we're ranked right next to Columbia from South Carolina, and we just went to a tournament like 2 weeks ago that Columbia hosted. And it's like the 4th time that we've been to this tournament, and we love them. They're great people. They put on a great tournament, but they're definitely a rival of ours because they're like right here in the rankings and we're like right underneath, you know what I mean? But we're not gonna, like, we have to work with each other in terms of leagues because there is a higher body, but that higher governing body doesn't assign who plays what games. Like you have to figure that out yourself. So if you are constantly, trash talking other leagues, if you're constantly difficult to deal with, nobody's going to want to play you. And then you don't get to play roller derby. So
it's the perfect lesson for children. It's like,
you can be competitive, but don't be a dick.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And play with everybody.
Yeah.
Fight everybody.
But yeah, it's not the way that you see in some professional sports, because you get these, super heated rivalries, but they still have to play each other because the NFL commissioner said so or whatever. Right. If we don't want to play a team, we just don't play them. And it's the same thing with us. So there's a big incentive, to get along with each other, no matter how bitter your rivalry or how close you almost beat them last year, but didn't quite do it,
But Columbia, if there's a chance to throw an elbow that was a little bit extra, come on, let's be honest.
I'm not going to throw I'm not
in the mood of competitive.
Give away like, strategy secrets.
I know, but you can nod. I'm trying to think. So what's the name of the Columbia team? Do they have something as cool as Twisters?
Columbia Roller Derby, I think their A team, I believe, is Quad Squad. Columbia Quad Squad. It's
pretty good.
So it's fun. I wouldn't say that we're not going to do anything like that, because we're not trying to intentionally hurt people illegally, but we do know when we're going up against like a team that we would really like to get a win off of, like, it's like, hey, don't hold back, like be aggressive, take those hits, take that space, don't give them an inch, but we still play within the rules, because if you go to the box, then that's that much time that your team doesn't have you on the track, and then Columbia starts to get more points, and then you've ruined the whole thing. So
okay, fair. You need to play within the rules. It makes complete sense. I get it.
And so the problem is now that it's awesome that it's like serious and it's like the real parts of the sport. But now that it's the real sport, you have to play by the rules, and you don't get to be ridiculous and stupid and be all theatrical. So if you don't get to like do the sport and don't get to be dumb and have ridiculousness, then you just sit in the box.
Right. And then you have to rethink your choices. And then if you go to the box 7 times, you get kicked out and you don't get to play the game at all. So
This is terrible. Way to go, Luke. You like
no,
made us down, just like Santa. Just like when you made Santa cry.
I was just gonna say, like, I talk a good game, but get me out there with this team, and they would be wiping the floor with me within moments.
I would love to do. I
know you would, but
I would
let's.
love
I think
it.
there's also the added element that like none of us are paid. None of us are out here trying to get our nose broken, or break another person's nose. Like, these are all people that have normal jobs and kids and, you know, all of that. And, you know, Columbia, our skater last weekend or weekend before, broke her leg during that game, and Columbia took up a collection because we had to take up a collection ourselves to get her a plane ticket because she had driven to Columbia. And we couldn't send her back with a broken leg. So, you know, we had to find some way to get her home. And Columbia was kind enough to reach out and say, hey, how's a skater? And we told them what was going on. And they said, well, we'll take up a collection. We're going to send her a card. Tell us where to send it. So, you know, that was very, very kind of them. It was not something they had to do at all. But again, it's about supporting each other. Like, nobody wants to see any skater break their leg. Like, that sucks, you know?
Right.
But when you show up for work on Monday, does it sometimes look like you've been in Fight Club?
But see, that's
I work
kind
from
of
home,
cool.
so I don't have to worry about it.
See that, like, when you like the normal job and like the broken nose, black eye thing. I mean, the pain of it and the bills, like that part sucks. But the showing up, like even on a Zoom call with the injury, like just the look of it, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm not like, I used to teach, so I haven't always worked from home. I taught at OU for many years, and there's more than once where I showed up to class with just a big bruise under my eye, and my students would be like, what happened? And I'd be like, don't worry about it. It's just, you know, you should see the other guy, like that kind of silly stuff. But that was always fun. The actual, what's starting to suck now is like, I started playing when I was 29. I'm 36 now. I'm going to be 37 in June, and shit hurts. It hurts a lot more than I did when I was 29. Like, everything takes a little bit longer to heal, a little bit longer to recover. And that is starting to get noticeable. Yeah. And that's not cool. That doesn't make me feel cool at all. Like, getting out of bed, like,
the old ones.
That makes me feel lame.
Yeah. I have weird, like, kickboxing injuries that from like 15 years ago, like try at 48, like I'm 48. So all of a sudden, like 15-year ago injuries that I thought were long gone, I get up in the morning, I'm like, oh, what do you know?
You're back.
Still there.
Yeah. Well, the ankle still hurts.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Enjoy it. Yeah. So it'll be with you always.
Yeah. We always joke that we started the juniors league so we could harvest their cartilage.
Yeah.
Have all the young knees.
See, this is good.
So
see, it's not all peace and love and sweetness.
Okay,
sometimes it's joint harvesting.
Yeah.
Yes. See.
Yeah.
They still got a little maniacal in them.
Yeah. No, this is perfect. So what's the length of the season? Where are you in the season? It sounds like Columbia is just a little bit above you, but I believe in you. And where can people cheer you on and tell Columbia where to go?
So right now, every other year there's a regional playoff, and we are in that year. So our regional playoffs are going to be in Austin, Texas, the last weekend of June, and that is for the Deep South region of North America. So North America is divided into 3 regions. And that is going to be like our big, we'll have a postseason play that will still count for rankings, but that is like our hard focus right now. That is our 3-day-a-week practice, and, you know, the gym another 3 to 5 days a week, just really going balls to the wall, trying to prep for this tournament, where we will probably face off against Columbia, but also other teams that are above, either a little bit above or a little bit below us. They send the top 12 teams to the regionals. So
it's pretty tightly packed, it sounds like.
Yeah, it should be a good game, It should be a good tournament in terms of the point spread and whatnot. So I'm pretty excited / terrified. / excited / I need to go to the gym.
And so are you guys are playing regularly as well on top of this? Or are
Yeah,
you just prepping?
we just had that tournament. We have a game in April and a game in May that are really, really geared towards prepping us for these regionals, and then we'll have regionals at the end of June. So we're still playing and practicing, and we scrimmage once a week. We scrimmage each other. So we try to set that up as similar to a game as possible, so that we have the feeling of a game and not just running drills. We
And
have refs that come and whatnot. So
two things I've realized we didn't discuss: what
Mhm.
position you play and what your really cool nickname is.
So I'm a blocker. I don't know how much you or your listeners know about how derby is played. I can give you all a run through if you want to.
Please, yeah. What I
Okay.
know is from roller ball. The thing,
Okay.
so
So roller derby, we play on a flat track. So you can imagine that there are 5 skaters on each team that are on the track at any given time. One of those skaters is the jammer. The jammer is the one with the star on their helmet, and the jammer is the only one that can score points. The jammer scores points by lapping members of the opposing team. All of the blockers have to stay together in what's called the pack, and the blocker's job is to stop the opposing jammer from getting by while helping their own jammer get by. So it's essentially just kind of a race between jammers who can lap the most people in a certain amount of time. The play, it's like in football, there's plays, in derby, they're called jams. So you have a jam that lasts a certain amount of time. When that jam ends, you have a 30-second reset where you can switch out players, you can do whatever, and then you play another jam. Bouts last about an hour, 2 30-minute halves, and depending on the jams change in length, just like the plays in football change in length, but there'll be maybe 20 or so jams in a half, maybe up to 25 if they go fast. And that's it. There are a lot of rules as to how you can hit and where you can hit. So you can't use anything from your bicep down to hit with. I can't push, I can't shove, I can't slap. I can't headbutt anybody. That's not very safe. That's how you get concussions.
Yep.
I can't kick anybody or trip them, even accidentally. I can't, anything like that. I can't hit them square in the back, like in the spine. You can hit them on the side, but you can't hit them square in the back because spinal injuries. And then there's other, gameplay things that you can't do. If somebody knocks you out of bounds, you can't jump back in front of them. They knocked you out. You got to go behind them. So things like that. But otherwise, you can, if you follow those rules, man, you can hit as hard as you want. You can hit as many people as you want, as often as you want. You just have to do it in the ways that are legal to the sport.
And you say things that hurt the other players' feelings and make them feel bad.
Not on purpose.
Oh, you can't.
You can. I mean,
but they might take offense to this.
Yeah, you can play mind games. You cannot cuss loud enough for the audience to hear, because that's just like a,
family
thing,
Right.
But if there are teams that make kind of shit talk on the track, their MO, we like to do the opposite, because I think it's more fun when someone's shit talking you if you just grin at them really big and then hit them really hard. Like, to me, that's just more,
definitely,
satisfactory. Just nom nom nom. Just when they're getting so mad and you're just like, I'm fine, I'm happy, I'm calm. You're the one with the problem.
Even when they knock you down, you're not going, that really hurt, or nothing like that.
I'll cuss under my breath or whatever, but if it was a good clean hit, sometimes I'm like, I'm not even mad, that was a good hit. You know what I mean? Like, congrats. But yeah, there are definitely teams that make, like I said, that make shit talk more of a thing, whereas we try and take the I'm just happy to be here road, which often pisses them off more.
Yeah, I can see that. And what is your playing nickname?
Professor Flex.
Ooh, that's good.
Is there a story behind that, or just you taught, ergo?
So I used to teach. It's also a play on Professor X, the leader of the X-Men, and I've always been an X-Men fan since I was a little kid, so it worked out really well. I have
hairstyle, but I get it.
Yeah, I have armbands with my number on it, and on the inside of my armband is a little bicep, so that when I flex, my biceps have a little bicep on them, which that's kind of like my thing. Whenever they call my name, I always flex. But I like showmanship. I enjoy the theatricality of it, I guess. Some people don't. They just want to put their heads down and play a sport. I like to do both.
Yeah.
For more information on the Twister City Roller Derby, check out their website, twistercityderby.com.
Why the Podcast is produced by the Professional Production Company. Please be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts because we're shallow and need constant validation. For more information, you can check out our website, whythepodcast.com. And like everyone else, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Today's show was recorded and produced by Heidi Hedquist and myself from our world headquarters located on the second floor of the professional office building, centrally located downtown. Our reluctant executive producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Flash, we're coming home.
Nigel, is that you? Are you here, Nigel?